Welcome back to Casa Fuzetta, the House of Stories, with me, Tara.
And me, Kate.
In Season 2, we take a deep dive into the magical world of workations.
And creativity.
And creativity.
Of course.
In our last episode, we shared and why workations came about and how they are interpreted differently by everyone who joins us. And we met the ebullient,
In my favourite word,
local artist and art teacher, Dora, who was helping guests let go of perfection and get messy with watercolour painting. Now, in this episode, you left me. I had to fly solo, but it was good. I caught up with Haruka and Nora, who joined us for our workations last year. And I think, actually, they're going to join again next year, which is very exciting because bookings are already starting to come in.
very exciting. And actually, I love this interview because even though they come from different countries and different creative disciplines, Nora and Haruka just demonstrated a camaraderie between them, and it's palpable and infectious for sure. It also demonstrated the golden threads of connection, which we talk a lot about in Series 1, and are clearly alive and kicking in Series 2 between not only these two, but everyone who stays at the house.
Yeah. I love that our mantra of trust and the strong sense of Casa Fuzetta being a safe space gives them confidence to make this a place where they can open the cages of their minds and let the dreams fly. And if there was ever a case of proof in the pudding, this episode shares the most wonderful cases of manifestation and indeed one of the fastest ever. Let's dive in. Context is everything. We are sitting in the library at Casa Fuzetta, coming to the end of our first week of Workation 2025, our third time of doing this. And sitting with me are Haruka and Nora, who people will remember from Season 1 of the podcast. I interviewed them individually last time, but as we're all here together, we thought it would be fun to get an update from our repeat workationers. In fact, we've got some more repeat workationers joining us next week. Haruka, shall we start with you?
Sure, I would love to start. What has been going on in my life? A year has gone by very quickly, it seems.
Yeah, it does fly, doesn't it?
It really does. I live in Lisbon, and just right before the last workation, so last year, in 2024, I had moved houses.
Oh, yes.
And that was very exciting for me because I didn't know that I needed to move until truly I looked around myself and realized none of this really feels me. I think I really need to get out of here. And it was a big moment of self-care for me to be like, it's time, I do need to move to a different apartment. And so I ended up moving from the basement to the top floor.
In the same building?
No, it's a different...
And in the same neighborhood?
Different neighborhood, different building, a basement to top floor where
Lots
there's
of light.
lots of sun. And that just felt so refreshing. It really felt, okay, now I'm ready to honor myself and root. Yeah.
And I love, because often on Instagram, or certainly on your stories, you're posting little snapshots from your window, especially in the morning, of the light and the racing pigeons. And tell me, you have a little pet.
Oh, yes, I do. Thank you for checking in.
Most unusual pet.
Yes. First, I had a snail pet named espinafre, which means spinach. And then now I have a second pet named alface, which means lettuce. And both snails came on those vegetables through the mercado and arrived to my house. So they are my friends. Yeah.
Yeah. And you draw them and you feature them in your Instagram. Yeah,
they're so inspiring. They're super inspiring.
I love it. And this time we're down here in Olhão, which for people who might be listening for the first time is 3 hours south of Lisbon in the eastern Algarve, still on the Atlantic. We're not actually yet into the Mediterranean. We're on the Atlantic, which means that the sea can be cold, guys, just to manage expectations. But you've come with Julian, your husband.
Yes.
And how has that been in terms of, yes, that you wanted to share the space with him and this place? How's he engaged with it?
Oh, yeah. Anything beautiful I always want to share with him. And Casa Fuzetta definitely being one of them. And yeah, I think he's also been super inspired. Right now, I think he's working on a piece of writing, and that's been going well. We're in the tower suite, so we have a very nice view and a big table as well at the rooftop. Mm-hmm. And that has been wonderful to be able to look out into Olhão and look out to the ocean and work together.
Yeah, no, it is a big table.
Yeah.
There's lots of space. There's lots of space up there. So but yeah, because you've been working every day. Julian's been joining the art classes, and you've been doing the art upstairs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've just been, in a way, like in my little shell, and painting, sketching, writing, doing a bunch of projects upstairs.
Exciting.
Yeah.
And we were talking earlier that when you were here last time, you had been manifesting or dreaming on a particular project, which is super exciting and feels like it may be happening.
Yeah, it's definitely on the way, I hope, to happening. So one of the things that I really wanted to manifest was a cover illustration for the New Yorker magazine. That has been a dream of mine. And even last year in 2024, it was a hard thing to admit that, oh, this is actually my dream. I want this for myself. But finally last year, I was like, you know what? I do want this. This is a dream of mine. And so I started sketching cover ideas, and I've been pitching since then. And just 4 months after the workation, I got a call from the New Yorker, and we actually worked on a cover idea together of a mermaid. And it almost, I think it was very close to happening, but at the very end, it had been rejected. But I have been trying ever since, and now I submit. It's part of my job. And I hope that, one day it will.
But it's at least you have an ongoing dialogue with them, and they know who you are. And maybe with this podcast, we'll give them another little nudge to go check out Haruka's drawings.
Yeah, definitely sending the energy with this podcast. Yeah, but it's been really exciting to let some of the ideas and the dreams that sometimes I feel like I edit or cage in myself, in my own brain, almost like a caged bird. And it's really exciting to actually let these birds free. That's really what I want to do, to put them out into the world. And sometimes I myself am the one who's editing down and making myself smaller. So it's been a really, every time now I think I come here, I allow myself to let
the wings spread.
Truly, I think.
That's fabulous. And your impressions or the connections that you've made here we've got a sort of a mixed crowd of people this first week, but quite a lot of other creatives.
Yes, it's been nice. Yeah, it's been really nice to meet other creative people. And
she's including me.
Yes, including Nora. It's just, I think when you work alone, like Nora and I had been talking about this, when you work independently, have your own business, or you're an artist, sometimes you really do feel alone. And so to be able to share difficulties, challenges, and also achievements and dreams with other artists, other independent-minded people is really refreshing. You realize, I'm not
that crazy.
So yeah, we got this together. We can do this. So that sense of camaraderie, I think, is really great. And the fact that this also happens at the start of the year, right around the Lunar New Year, I think is so helpful. Because let me start this new project with a new mindset.
Very good. I think maybe we should hand the little fuzzy mic.
Hi, guys.
To Nora. And Nora, what have you been doing of late?
You mean the last weeks
Oh.
or since?
Why don't we work backwards? Because you're here as a guest on a workation.
Yes.
But during the course of last year's workation, I think I introduced you to our neighbours at Casa Rosa, and you went to go and persuade them that they shouldn't be closed for January, but they should open up for their own workation season, which you would lead.
Yes.
So how was that?
And I mean, that's so crazy to look at this right now, because this whole idea popped. I think it was inside me. And like Haruka said, here I was able to let it
Fly.
Let it fly and go with it and sit with it and listen to different perspectives. And also you as a host, listen to your things, what you said and your experiences, and also you get me in touch with them, and we're like, oh, maybe this is an idea to do it there. And while I was here, I walked over there and just had a look at the house, and they were super open to do this, let's call it pilot project, because for both sides it was a pilot project. Never did anything like that ever before. So it was in total 2 weeks of vacation. Of course, the offer was meant to be for mostly German-speaking people, solopreneurs. That was the main focus, to being solo self-employed people, because exactly what you said, Haruka, this is, you get tired of motivate yourself every day.
Yeah.
And I'm self-employed over 22 years, so
these
are many days to motivate yourself, so yes. I know. And also, I think here I found out more about my core values, like community and sharing and creativity, and also freedom at the same time. This is what I really appreciate here and value, like you have a safe place with other people, but you don't have to do anything. You're not forced to do anything. You can have dinner together, but you don't have to. So you're still free, but bonded. And I really like this idea, like mainly. And also to have the idea to connect it with yoga, because I'm in the yoga bubble since 20 years, not as a teacher, but to join. And then, also you gave me a connection for that too, for this yoga teacher that comes in this house. So I set this all up and advertised it like 9 months.
Yeah, you worked hard on your promotion.
Oh my God, and you helped me out with this. You were so supportive, and you mentioned me in your newsletter and in this podcast announcements and things like that. And I did it like on every channel. Like,
yeah, you did not. There was nothing that you didn't try. Yeah.
Yeah, I knew this is going to be so much work, and I set up a landing page for that, and of course all these things. And then this advertising work was really super hard. I expected it to be hard, but not that hard, to be honest. Of course, I didn't do something like that before, so maybe people did not connect with me that I could be a host for something, because normally I'm an interior designer and I decorate rooms and not like hosting group travels in another country. So maybe that was hard too. And of course, and every time someone booked, and they booked directly to the Casa Rosa house, Colum answered me like, yeah, super nice. Can we have 2 more? And I was like, I was so happy that I got this person into the program, let's call it like that. And I was like, wow, okay. But in the end, it turned out, we could fill it with enough people.
That's great. And again, that's the point, is pilot year 1. Yeah, year 1 we didn't fill it.
And it was like...
Not even year 2 we probably filled 75%.
Yes.
And it's only really this year, year 3, that, we were completely sold out and had more people.
In the sense of your vocation, of course.
So
it's process.
Exactly. It never happens. You have to allow for a little bit of a
Yeah, and it was so helpful because
Ramp up.
sometimes you were texting me, how is it going? And I was like, and you were like, don't be so hard on you. And it was like, oh, thank you so much. It just, that quote gave me a little bit of relief. And I was like, okay, thank you. So in that sense, it turned out to be, let's call it successful. And I could get enough people to set this up. And
But that's a major achievement. Lots of people wouldn't necessarily be able to do that, to fill it and to have a successful first workation with good people, and made sense for you, it made sense for the guys at Casa Rosa. Now the question is whether you want to do it again, because I think you may have learnt it's quite hard work. But I think on that theme, maybe for anybody else who's listening, who's thinking of doing it, as a first timer, because often it's really great to hear from people for whom it's really still fresh or raw, as an experience, to share what are some of the things that you learned that you hadn't expected to be hard, that were hard, or some of the things that you had expected to be hard but that were actually much easier than you thought.
yeah,
So any
cool.
top tips to share?
Many. Maybe I want to add that I used to be a host and host furnitured like apartments or rented out like the last 10 or 12 years. That was a side business I did. So it was not super new to host something and organize a setup. This is like super normal in my job to do all the logistics and the organization things. But like adding to that special part, it's a lot of organizing, and that was easy to me. So I explained again today to a friend, that's not the problem, it's just work. And you have, okay, where's the umbrella, where's the hairdryer, when is time for breakfast, do we have yoga mats, I don't know, how to get in, I forgot my keys, blah blah blah. This is like organizing, and you can like just do it within minutes. It's not asking for emotional support or something. So that's the easy part of this. And the not so easy part of this was I really felt a lot of tension before and during this vacation, because I really felt responsible for kind of everything. I was the only host. So of course I was responsible for everything, even if this was about food, or some people thought even I'm responsible for the weather.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, sorry, I can't do anything about it. I can just give you an umbrella, organize you like.
Yeah, because you had more mixed weather. You had some beautiful weather. But
Yeah,
you had
both.
some definitely
Both.
not. There was I don't know. I can't remember the name of all the different storms anymore. But there
were
one
warnings and things like that. And of course, someone asked me, "Yeah, what are you doing in the bad days?" Like. And I was like, yeah, we will find something else. So I'm used to, that really helped me. I'm really used to Olhão.
Yeah.
Yes. I have been here 12 times or something.
Wow.
So, yeah.
That many times?
Yeah. Sometimes only for one night and then going ahead or something. So I'm really well in logistics. Like I know so many people and places, and I know take this, do that. And this is super simple for me. The thing that was most exhausting for me was keeping up the space. I'm a
holding space
holder. Yeah. I don't only decorate spaces, I hold it for people. And I'm a high sensitive person. And I knew, for example, like in the afternoons, my limit is reached and I need to pause and step off. That's why, for example, I didn't offer the participants a dinner at house.
Okay.
And I said them, please organize yourself. You can use the kitchen. We're not such a big group and we have the whole house. So this is our home for that time. You can use everything as if it's your home. So I know that I'm too full and I need to have the availability to step off and say, no, I'm
but
out
that's
of
a really
dinner, for
important
example.
thing for whoever's organising to understand what are their boundaries, what are their energy limits, because especially if you're doing something for 2 weeks solid, or even 3 weeks in this case, Casa Fuzetta, yes, you have to manage your own energy as a host.
Yeah, exactly. And I think you said that on point. As I know myself, I'm in the middle 40s, so of course, some things I knew already about myself, about this energy and things like, okay. But of course, there were still parts that I didn't know.
Oh, so where were the surprises?
So yeah, it was a bit like energy. Let's say it like that. When you set up an offer like that, you don't only attract what you want, you also attract what you don't want, because
Interesting.
universe can understand the difference.
Oh,
and if
interesting.
you want to attract like-minded people that are the same, like business or yoga or whatsoever, spiritual, I don't know. Yes, of course, it will bring you some of them, but it will also bring you some of the others that are challenging you. And there were some participants, I had the feeling they made me responsible for things like literally like the weather. It felt for me. And it was a kind of communication about things. I set it up a Telegram group before, and to put them all together in one group in another app than WhatsApp, for example. And of course, I made my thoughts about this before. It's all about logistics again. And there were still people like, I have to ask, can you please join the group? Can you please join the group? Because if you don't join the group, I can't set up the whole offer for the rest of the group.
It's really difficult,
because as you all know, the new participants of a group don't see the chat that was there before. So I had to wait to the last one. And I texted her, can you please do that? And then the other thing that was really exhausting to me was like, I said to all the participants, I sent them an email like you did, and please come over to the Telegram group at least short before, and then I can ask you, do you want to have a massage? Do you want to have this and that? And yeah, there were people missing, and still during this vacation, some of them were texting me through Instagram, through WhatsApp, through email, through Telegram private, and that was really exhausting me.
Yes, all different. Yeah. Well, again,
and now, backwards, I would say I had to stick with that. I will only answer in this group. Maybe if you think about hosting something that is super important, and you attract maybe people you're not like-minded with, and how to handle with that. So you need some tools within yourself or
and how did they find you?
I don't know.
That's
No, you mean all the participants, not
yes,
special.
so they want, sometimes it can be it's your friends, or, but no, these were people coming to you independently.
Of course, I asked all of them to find this out, and I advertised it like through LinkedIn, through Instagram, through WhatsApp status, through newsletters, through flyers and postcards, and word of mouth. Yes, but still, you don't know the ways of the universe, because there was some client of me reading my newsletters and telling a friend about it.
Yes,
and she came up for 2 weeks, and someone saw a repost of a story of me and was like, oh, this could be an opportunity to go to Portugal. She didn't even want in touch with me. My offer. And then, one person, maybe in person, that was a participant of another yoga retreat here at Casa Fuzetta.
One of the cat.
Yes, so the cheeky yoga retreat.
Episode 3 of season 1 of the podcast. We have an interview with Kat, the founder of Cheeky Yoga. And yes, I've met Ncheta in person after... I think it was after the first Cheeky Yoga Club retreat. Might have been after the second one, because I know she went on the second one as well.
Yeah, that's where I met her.
I'm not quite sure now which one, when I met her, but she's gorgeous. She's lovely. Person. Yeah. Huge soul.
And I met her here in this house. I remember when I first met her on the rooftop, like having this welcome situation, and she was sitting there in Cheta. It was September 21. And I really had so nice conversations back then. And I didn't know that she was following me on social media. On the second account I have, Nora Loves Olhão, one time she texted me like, nice offer, where's the link to book? And I was like, oh, I didn't even know that you're following me. Oh, this is crazy, because she never commented anything.
But that's what's so funny with social media, is that actually, because I turn up at a party or something and everybody's, and someone's telling me what I've been posting or what I've been doing because
Yeah.
they've been following on social media, but they never comment, they never like, they never do anything.
They just
so I
watch.
think that exactly there is a big, we forget as we're out there as content creators or promoters and marketeers that actually our impact is much greater than what we immediately see.
They
One
watch
to
and then
remember.
it comes to the right timing and then they book. Then I feel aligned to it and she was like, I felt I have to do it. That was not 1 second I was asking myself. It was like, oh my God, there is this opportunity to go back to Olhão again. And then that was so funny because I did a podcast interview with her too.
Oh, yes.
When she booked it, she was like, oh my God,
Oh, yes.
there's another opportunity to go back to Olhão and I will meet Nora. This is such a nice thing. And then it turned out while she was here that, of course, in the meantime, some things happened to her too. And she's moving to LA in February, and that was perfect timing to reset herself. Like just
before
for
she
herself.
goes
She
off.
slept a lot, and she was really like, "Oh my God, I needed that time before we are moving to the
Launching
other
into a
end
whole
of the world." That was perfect time, and this is what I mean. You attract people you didn't know, like that they are following you. So that was so nice surprises and. The other thing, because
and a nice
you were saying-
reinforcement,
Yeah.
a really nice reinforcement for you that people are watching, they are listening, and they do connect. And also, I think last time we talked about these golden threads of connection, especially I always feel from Olhão that go out, and there's one. And Jetta's she's attached to that golden thread, even if it's been a little while and now it's been reinforced again. But it's...
This all happened here in your house. It started here. The thing with Casa Rosa, my thoughts about the workation, because you were such a good example for me. I met Jetta here. I love this place and things like that. Haruka's here. It's about your house, this house of stories. There's a special magic. Yeah. But if I would come back to your question, giving tips about this, it's think about what you really need to rest and to step out of the group. I would say don't participate in all the things. Don't pop up with too much offers like... all day, all week, do this together, do that together, and take off your time. This is super fine. And what I did also was I took the outest room, like it was in the most, like in the corner of the back of the house and was a bit away of the rest of the group. So not meeting them all day and taking off my time.
Yes, you do, because it requires a lot of energy to host and hold space. But also, I think the difference between my perception now, as we've been talking about it over the last week, that the difference between a retreat and a workation is that with a retreat, you're very much doing things as a group. It's a group energy, it's a group dynamic, and you keep the group together in a really quite tight energy. I think
like
if you
complex.
and you do pretty much, the expectation anyway is that you do lots of things together, and that can be fine and can suit some people, but for others who like a little bit more independence, the workation gives you more time, and it's more, I want to use my hands, but I'm holding my fuzzy mic. But it's more like you have a much looser, think of the workation as one of those giant bubbles, and because they're giant, people have room to float, and they might be at different ends of the bubbles, and occasionally people float back together within it. And as a host, you're just trying to make sure that the bubble doesn't burst. But other than that, it's about keeping it in the air, keeping people happy within it.
Which is a tough job. keeping it in the air. I had this, while you were explaining this, I had this vision of being a bus driver.
Oh, okay.
And people are stepping in
And
and,
then
stepping
that's
out,
off
and
at
you
the bus.
carry
Yes.
them
Yes.
between different stations.
That's
People are
another way.
talking to you, and some are not, and but you
You're
can't
so-
run away because you have to.
I'm on the bus.
Yes, because you are driving it, and you're like you have to come to the end, and then you have to stand all that. What happens, like maybe behind you?
Yes.
And if they smoke or I don't know whatever they do in the back, or just chatting, or maybe they're coming up
Yes, and
new
sometimes you have to
collaborations
go
or
and
things like that.
yeah, tell people off or get people
Yeah.
to sit next to each other because they need to have this really cool conversation and they're
Yeah.
going to collaborate another day.
Yeah.
And yeah.
That's
I
so
still
crazy.
think I still like my bubble. I've got my giant floating bubble
Yeah.
vision.
And how
I
you-
like that one.
I have it
Yes.
now too, and it really fits well into this picture. and yeah, but maybe you have a special tip for hosting. If I ever want to do it again, like,
Oh, I think
what's
like,
your secret in this to keep up yourself and?
Oh, last year I ended up in hospital for 5 days.
Oh yeah,
so
I'm sorry,
I don't think
forgot. Yeah, true.
I don't think I'm necessarily the world's best authority on how to preserve your sanity. and
Now we
your-
can laugh about it,
Yeah.
but that was pretty serious.
That
that
was
day.
that was quite scary last year, and I'm trying to do a little bit better this year. But I'm never terribly good at it. What was I going to say? I think a bit like you, I always have the 80-20 rule, which is plan and have everything sorted with the hope that 80% will go to plan. And then that means if you've got a plan, that then you've got enough bandwidth left to cope with the 20% of changes. So-and-so's arriving a day early, which we've had. So-and-so's wanting to leave early. They suddenly realise they want
Things
to join
change.
these activities, don't
Yeah.
want to join those. You've tried to organise as much as possible, and then you just have a little bit of tweaking that needs to be done.
You have to be really flexible, but not in a way of doing yoga, but in a way of having a flexible mindset.
Yes.
too.
And yes, you can't. My kids would always say that I'm a control freak, but I think I'd like to say, in my defence, that I'm a planner, I'm an organiser,
Yeah.
and then you let it go. And again, you can't be too prescriptive about, organised seating plans. It's just, life's too short. That's where my capacity ends.
Yes,
And you
exactly.
go, everybody's a grown-up, for God's sake. You can do it. And it's nice. And I hope, again, that the energies within the house will make sure that everybody does have an opportunity to engage with everybody else at a certain point or at the right time within the house, as opposed to just always sit next to the same person. And that does feel like it actually happens every time. This having been the third time, we've had some very different cultures, personalities, and yet what I love is that everybody's engaged, interested, interesting, respectful, and what I have always loved and what I always had in mind with the house is that here you have time, but what time gives you is you get beyond the superficial. You get beyond the,
Yeah,
when did you get
exactly.
here? When are you going? What do you do?
Yeah.
But you get the opportunity to dive into what are your feelings about this, or what's your philosophy or your purpose or your values. You get into the stuff that stays with you so much longer. And I think the mantra for the house from early days has always been about trust. So you create this bubble and then you trust that those
Yes.
within it will
Exactly.
find the path that they need, I think.
That's so beautiful what you said. And we had this chat, Haruka and me, yesterday that popped up in the kitchen. She was doing tea and we were chatting again, like, how was your year and things like that. And what I really wanted to say again you people don't know, but I did a reservation for next year already on the first day, I think. When I came in and checked in and I said, I want to do a reservation for next year. And they were like, maybe you want first bring your luggage to your room. And I was like, not necessary. Yeah.
Oh, we love that. We'll count you in for next year. Yeah.
Yes, you know already. What I was saying to Haruka and to other people, and now this resonates with what you said, is when I'm here, and I think this is the specialty about this workation and the time. Not everything is like a retreat, like scheduled and very complex, and you have your time. I have the feeling that in this special place, I can check in. This is the best place for me to really properly check in with myself. And I have the feeling here, I'm the best vision of myself. I really like myself the most in this house. I don't know. And then I have the feeling, thank you. I don't need anything else. Yeah, no, really. This is because I was thinking about, I was again looking for some houses because I had this feeling I want to create a second home in Olhão, and I was sitting with this again for weeks. And then for me it turned out, yeah, it's this feeling I have here I want to buy a house for, but maybe it's not necessary to own a property to gain this feeling again, because it's about this. It's about especially this setup here. Like we were sitting here and you said something similar, Haruka, to me last night in the kitchen. We have time to check in and find out what are my birds that I want to set free. And this is what happened to you and me last year, and now we are checking in again with, did we do it? Did we follow this? Or did we just open the cage and then what? And this is a platform here for that. And the same what you said. I love that it's in the beginning of the year. It's another new start of the year for me. Checking in again, stepping back again, sitting longer with things. And also this is such a safe space for me. There's nothing is except me is triggering me. It's like a trigger-free area, and also this complex of the house. We are so safe.
It's so safe.
Such a safe environment. There's nobody able to come in from the outset. We are like a castle.
Yeah.
I have goosebumps. I hope you too. How was that for you? I think you said something similar yesterday.
I'm trying to think about what I want to say. There's so much like swirling in this room.
You were thinking about coming back again, right?
Yeah, yeah, I hope so. I would like to. I really enjoyed last year jumping into the ocean.
Oh, yes.
With
Liz.
Yes, with a fellow workationer named Liz. And that just felt so refreshing and so good for my soul. And so I did that again just a few days ago. And that also just was fantastic. And to be able to have that freedom to leave Casa Fuzetta for the day, to journey onto the islands, and then to come back to have dinner with everyone and share my adventures is also so fun. And actually that reminds me, a few of the other workationers yesterday, we were talking about how so many of the people here really understand beauty. And I think that's perhaps one of those golden threads that you're talking about, Tara. That each person understands and appreciates beauty in their own way, which is why I think when we do have our morning coffees outside, or when we hear the water fountain down here in the courtyard, people get it. There's no question of, oh, this is just some whatever fountain. Oh, how beautiful is it to hear that while I'm journaling, or talking about how blue the sky is.
Oh, and the blue is
The blue
is just
so
properly blue,
rich and crisp at the same time. And so to be able to share that with people who understand the beauty of those things is something I really appreciate.
Oh,
being here.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Well, that probably feels like a perfect place to end. And I look forward to welcoming you back for season 3, but certainly season 4 of Workations. And we'll check in next year. Yeah.
Yeah, I
that'll be
would love
wonderful.
to.
Cool. Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you for having us.
And we are back.
We're back.
We're back within 20 minutes.
Yes.
With Nora and Haruka, much faster than we thought. But because manifestations, I have to say, I think this is my all-time record, that by the time I got upstairs, you were messaging me to say, my vision manifested. Tell
That's
us
right.
what happened.
I got a lovely email from my art director at the New York Times, and she said, okay, your new idea for the next series sounds great. Everything sounds great. And so that's going to happen. And it was just 5 days ago that I sent her a note. So it was at Casa Fuzetta that I compiled all of my pitches.
Nice.
Made them sound interesting, add some fairy dust on top. So that happened all within a week.
Oh, so that all happened whilst here.
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, I do like that. I think
Again.
It works.
Yes.
It works.
Excellent. We can't promise everybody that you'll get a commission from the New York Times or the New York. Is it the New Yorker or
This
the New
one
York
was the
Times?
New York Times.
Oh well, we'll take that.
Yeah.
Yes.
We're-
Me too.
know.
I'll take that.
Post it, please.
And timings? When do we think that might manifest in print?
In print, I think it will start in late March or April. And we'll do a couple of pieces in that series.
So
Oh,
you
so
will
that'll be
bring
a
some of them next year, versions.
Oh yes,
When
nice
we
idea.
meet again.
We could have a manifestation wall,
Ooh.
couldn't we?
Where would you put it up?
Oh well, I don't know. We'll have to have a little think.
Yeah.
I had an idea about this too when we were just finishing and stepping up. I was like, because we talked about, last year my thing was, I wanted to create my own space. That's why I started looking for some houses here, right?
Yes.
And then when we stepped up, I realized, yeah, I did that. It's
Yes,
manifested
yes.
in a way, but in another way than I expected, because I opened up my own creative co-work space 3 months ago. This is my own space. It's not a house in Olhão.
But that is what you had
But
wanted.
it's
That's what we had spent a lot of time talking about last year,
Yeah.
which was actually creating a space for creatives to come together and to work. Not just it's me and my laptop, because
Yeah,
even
exactly.
as a semi-creative, there's way too much time doing that. But actually being able to bring, as you say, the solopreneurs, the creatives to get away from that completely isolated bubble. And yes, because
Exactly.
I'm sorry, we forgot earlier.
Yeah,
you had
I forgot
been
because I was a bit jealous, but Haruka manifested it, and what can I show up with?
You already
Of course,
did it.
it was a vacation, but then it came to my mind just after we left this room. I was like, oh my God, I
forgot.
did it.
Yes, you
Yes.
did.
I did it.
You have your own co-working space. That's a huge deal.
Yeah, it is. It's a pop-up situation, and this will turn again. There will be news next year again, and yeah.
So actually, you've manifested two things.
Yes.
You've manifested a co-working space
Yes.
in Cologne, and you gave birth to your first workation in Olhão. So
Yes.
you've got
And
plenty
the third
to...
thing, Tara. I
Oh.
had my first podcast interview ever
Oh,
with you.
yes.
And now I have my own podcast.
You have your own.
Yes, I started my own podcast.
Yes, mainly in German. I know had
Mostly.
Inchetta as a guest, an English language one, but
There happened a lot, and all was like proceeded here. Like here was the ground for, as you said, I love this picture. Like you opened your cage and let your birds fly,
yeah.
and just give it a chance.
Yes. Give it
Yeah,
a chance.
it's all about trust, and then as you said, give 80% and then let go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then see.
Oh,
see.
beautiful.
Yay!
Thank
Very exciting.
you.
And of course, I will get links from everybody, and we will add them in the show notes.
Thank
so
you
that
so
everybody
much.
else can see those. I cannot overstate how much it meant to me when Nora said that Casa Fuzetta is the space in which she feels she can be her best self. Oh, really
So nice.
special. In our next episode, we'll venture out of the house for the first time this season to meet our French friend and neighbour, Stephane. And he is one of the driving creative forces behind our favourite local interiors concept store, Ze e Maria.
Oh, this was a great interview, and I just love his passion for honouring traditional Portuguese craft and melding it with contemporary design, and his commitment and respect for the local community of Olhão was just wonderful.
Yeah. As ever, you'll find links to learn more about Nora and Haruka in the show notes, and we would love to hear what you think of this series. We've got a dedicated email address in the show notes where you can send us your questions. And last but not least, please, we'd be hugely grateful if you would subscribe, leave us a nice rating, help spread the word, and share it amongst your family and friends. Até a próxima!
Até a próxima!